All right, good day to you, ladies and gentlemen, brokers, billionaire realtors, and whatever you decide to call yourself. Good day to you. My name is Raymond E. Joma, and I'm the lawyer that loves real estate, a consultant to real estate investors, and a coach to realtors. So it's another beautiful Wednesday afternoon, and we're going to be having a very, very important conversation. This is going to be expository. This is going to be opening up your eyes and your mind to, to something that you have to be deliberate about. You have to be intentional about as a realtor if you want to do well in this business. So this is a good time to begin to invite your friends. Invite your friends. It's important that you invite your friends on board right now. Do not be selfish about this. It's free. You are not paying for it. So reach out to your friends, begin to invite them right about now. I can't scroll through. Screen is a bit far from me, but let's begin to invite our friends. Let's get started on this. So while we are waiting for them, we've had we do this every Wednesday by 3 p.m. Every Wednesday by 3 p.m. And we've done this for about 4, 5 Wednesdays now. 5 Wednesdays, and this is our fifth class, and it is absolutely for free. We've looked at understanding real estate, how to start the right way. We've looked at marketing 001, we've looked at branding, we've looked at last week we looked at how to sell real estate to Gen Z, how to sell real estate to Gen Z. And I remember, I'm not sure I've told the story on here. I remember my last Gen Z transaction was one that blew my mind, completely blew my mind. In a space of 2 weeks, we got a house and 2 lands for this particular Gen Z, right? And that was absolutely amazing. A house and 2 lands in a space of 2 weeks. And that was the Gen Z. So if you know how to sell to Gen Z, then that will really change the game of selling for you, especially in this day and age, because we have a lot of Gen Zs around, right? So today we're going to be looking at something very important. We're still just 7 participants on this group, and I need us to be 10 before I go into what I need to share today. I need us to be at least 10 before we go into what I intend sharing today. Right, so invite your friends. Invite your friends. If you want this to continue, invite your friends. We're looking at the sales process of real estate today. The sales process of real estate today. And if you're a realtor, if you're already in this business, you should take this class. You should take this conversation very, very seriously. If you are a realtor, if you are a broker, if you are already in the business, you will appreciate the importance of this conversation that we're going to be having right now. If you are somebody who is just about starting the business, if you are just getting started in the real estate business, then it is also very important that you pay serious attention, because this will expose, this will reveal the fact that you have a lot of work to do. You have to be intentional about the business. If not, you're going to start on the wrong note. And before you know it, you have done 1 year in the business, and you possibly have not sold one land, or have not done real estate in a way that you would like, right? So we've had results doing this, and a lot of the results that we have had doing this is because of the intentionality, the fact that we're very deliberate about what happens. Because real estate sector is not one that you want to do a lot of guessing. If you are not in and in as you should be in, then you're going to make a lot of mistakes, right? I don't know if it's okay to ask this question, but if I can get somebody to give me a response, I really would appreciate it, right? If you are new in the real estate sector, right, on this call, could you unmute your microphones and possibly give me a response? If you are new in the real estate sector, if somebody who is just starting,
Yes, I am, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Mr.
Mr.
Monday,
Monday.
good afternoon to you. You're just starting. How long have you started? Just a month, 2, 3, 4?
The reason why I say I'm just starting is because I have not really closed any deals since I started, but I've spent over a year now. I've been doing it passive a year now.
Okay, so it's over 1 year already. Have you made any sales within the 1 year?
Yes, I have not made any sales. I've not
All
made any
right,
sales, sir. Thank
all
you,
right,
sir.
all right, Mr. Monday. So let me uh, so thank you. I really appreciate your response. I sincerely do appreciate your response. But I know that I have a level of information that can end that. 1 year is a long time. I wish I could have more personal conversations with you, and I can begin to go a bit more detailed into understanding what you have done the right way, and what you have done the wrong way in this industry. Because if you do it the right way consistently, you're going to get results. I don't know if I have the time to look at that right now, but I remember during the course of our 5 days um, uh, executive masterclass. Remember, it's a free class, and we have the the paid class, which is the executive, the seven-figure executive masterclass, which is an exclusive executive training that I encourage everybody on this call or on this platform to enroll for. It's an amazing class, and you do not want to miss it. If somebody wants to do very well in the real estate sector, I encourage you to get on that course. You can join online or you can join physically, right? So you can reach out to Ophion for all of the details. But I remember saying something very critical during the course of the session. I've not started what I want to share today, right? But I remember saying something very critical that in the real estate sector, we did a formula. Formula was you can market right and market to the wrong audience. And what you're going to get is no sales. Market right, M for market, R for right, W for wrong, A for audience. You can market right and to the wrong audience and you get no sales. You can also market wrong to the right audience and you will also not get any sales. You can market wrong to the wrong audience and you will still not get any sales. Is somebody with me? Right? Is somebody with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. Please still be inviting your friends. We've not even gotten into what I need to share with us. Then the last part is the game changer, which is you marketing right to the right audience. And this will give you sales. So MRO plus WA equals no sales. MW plus ROA, no sales. MW plus MWA, no sales. But MRO plus ROA equals what? Sales. Right? And I paid a lot of attention in this conversation during the course of our executive masterclass. And again, you can enroll for that. So it's possible that you have done this across a period of 1 year, possibly with a lot of energy, and you have only done it under this first formula. So let's call it Formula 1, Formula 2, Formula 3, and Formula 4. So if you have done this for 1 year, in fact, let me categorically say it this way. You can do this for 1 year under using Formula 1 and you won't get sales. You can do this using Formula 2 for 1 year and you will still struggle. If you can use Formula 3 and you will still struggle, you're going to have serious delays making sales or serious issues making sales. In fact, it is possible that you can do any of these Formula 1 to 3 and make an accidental sale, but you can't repeat it. And also remember in the course of the class, I initiated the formula and I said specifically that for you to say that you are now good with sales or for you to beat your chest and emphasize or say that you're not good with sales, you need to have done sales, in my opinion, for at least 7 times. And at that point, it somewhat becomes a pattern. And I also explained that very well during the course of our training, right? So, but you can have or make use of Formula 4 and make a sale within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months of being in the business. So it's all about strategy. And I remember in our very first class, in our very first training, in our very first, was it the first or the second? I remember mentioning very importantly that beyond starting, that one of the importance of starting or doing well in the business, or one of the indices that you know that you're going to be doing well in the industry, is that of course you're going to start right, but in starting right with the right vision and all of that, there's a place of strategy. So I also mentioned, in fact, during the course of our first class, the first day of our executive masterclass, I told everybody on that session that I started this business with a lot of clarity, but I didn't have strategy. So you can have clarity, have vision, have energy, be a hard worker, and not have strategy. If you don't have strategy, then you're going to struggle. You're going to have delays, right? So it's important that you do this business with 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 clarity as to vision and also clarity as to strategy, right? So let's get away from this. We're just 11 on this call, and that is not good for me. But then we get started. We just jump on what we need to talk about today. Now, the real estate sales process is a very important conversation as far as the real estate business is concerned, and that is because a lot of persons think, a lot of persons do real estate as though they are doing any kind of business. You don't do real estate as though you're you are just in any industry. As I've always said, and I like to say, I'll say it again right now. You don't sell real estate as though you are selling a pen. You don't sell real estate as though you are selling a notebook. You don't sell real estate as though you're a food seller. You can be good, you can have good marketing skills to sell petrol. You can have good marketing skills to sell an account in a bank. You can have good marketing skills to sell books, but your marketing skills may not be relevant enough in selling real estate. So it's one thing for you to be a good marketer, it's another for you to sell real estate very well and do it consistently. So, based on the fact that you don't sell real estate the way you sell a pen, you also have to tell yourself that people don't buy real estate the way they buy a pen. That's very powerful. That's very powerful. So it is based on your understanding that people don't buy real estate the way they buy a pen. It is from that understanding that you have to do real estate differently. So it's two ways. There's a buyer and there's a seller. The guy who is selling real estate should not sell real estate as though he's selling a pen. The guy who is buying real estate, no, in fact, the reason the guy who is selling real estate should not sell it as though he's selling a pen is because the guy who is buying that real estate is not going to buy it as though he's buying a pen. Is this making sense to anybody? I need feedback. This makes a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense, but I just need to hear somebody.
That making sense. Making a lot of sense.
I didn't hear you.
You are making sense, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the feedback. So, if you want to do this thing and you want to do it well, you have to wake up. You have to open your mind to understand that this thing is not done the way every other thing is done. Because the person that you are looking to sell to doesn't buy real estate the way he buys a pen. In fact, he doesn't buy real estate the way he buys a phone. The mental pattern, the mental process to buying land, to buying a house is completely different. So all I need to buy a pen, if I want to buy a pen right now, all I need is basically to just walk into any store and boom, I have bought a pen. I don't need to call my parents. I don't need to think twice. I just know that I need a pen and I'm getting it. It takes me nothing to decide whether I want to buy a pen or not. It takes me nothing to decide whether I want to buy. Once your phone is bad, you literally want to buy another phone. The average Nigerian replaces his or her phone 3 days after the phone is stolen. Yes or yes? Who is on this
You are
call?
right.
In fact, for some persons, the day that phone is stolen is the day they are buying another phone. There's no rigorous process or decision-making process to making that decision. It's a straightforward conversation. And because of our thought process or our mental pattern growing up, you will realize that it is easier for somebody to buy an iPhone of 1.4 million than for a person to buy a land of 1 million. Who is with me on this call? True
That's
or
right,
true?
sir.
You are right, sir. You are right.
So now you are the guy that wants to sell real estate to this guy. Somebody that can buy an iPhone of 1.4 million in fact, for some persons, the moment they hit that money, they don't even have to think twice about it. Boom, they walked into a store and they've gotten an iPhone of 1.4 million. But tell that person to buy real estate, and you will see the reaction. You will see the attitude. And automatically, that person begins to think that 1 million for that land is the only money he's going to make in the whole wide world. In fact, let me hear somebody's thought on that. Why do you think it's like that? Why do you think it is like that? Why do you think people reason that way? Anybody? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Who is there with me? Why do you think somebody can buy an iPhone of 1.4 million without stressing, without sweating about it? But for him to buy, that same person to buy a land of 1 million becomes a big deal. What do you think?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go on, Isaac.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Yeah, I think
Good
from my
evening.
own perspective, I think it's something that is relative to them when it comes to gadgets, because they feel like, okay, fine, that's what is trending around. And there's this kind of barrier or this kind of understanding about investment that they need huge and bogus amount of money to do investment, whereas what they have within their within their capacity is even enough, like more enough to start something. But based on lack of insight and education, like a lot of people have this kind of barrier when it comes to investments, that you need this huge sum of money to buy properties and to invest into real estate. I don't know if I'm right, sir.
Yeah, so you made a very valid point, but in your analysis, you made it look like you're trying to create an excuse for somebody who because at that point the money is not the issue right now, right? So for example, somebody can have 5 million in his account. That person takes away 1.4 million immediately and buys an iPhone. Approach that person and tell the person that you have a land for 1 million. It will take that person ages to want to buy a land. The decision process as to buying or as it relates to buying that land will be longer than buying than the decision process that that same person engaged in buying the iPhone. And the reason is simple. Most persons are not investment minded. Most persons are not investment minded. Most persons are short-term thinkers. Most persons do prefer to enjoy today than to build tomorrow. So, as somebody who wants to sell real estate, there has to be a mindset that you will have for you to sell real estate properly. In fact, during the course of our training last week, the Realtor Executive Masterclass, I spent time talking about the mind, because your mental pattern, your mental orientation, even as somebody who sells real estate, goes a lot to show the kind of people you are going to attract as a broker. I don't have time to explain that, but trust me, I spent time analyzing this. In fact, even in your lead generation strategy, I also spent time talking about the issue of the mind. But I'll leave that. So here's the main thing I'm looking at today: the sales process of real estate. Like I mentioned, it doesn't take anybody 5 minutes to decide to buy a pen. 5 minutes, they have decided to buy a pen. Even with a car, it doesn't take you weeks to decide. Right? Once the money is there, you literally can make a decision. So the sales process of most products or most services, as the case may be, are very short. But for real estate, it's long. For real estate, the sales process is long. And you, as somebody who sells real estate, must understand that concept for you to sell real estate properly and to sell consistently. It is one thing to make an accidental sale. It is completely another thing to sell consistently. So, from the point of inquiry to the point of closing, for most other products, they're very short. You can see the distance. And this is my board clearly. Can somebody see my board clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. So you can say that from the decision process of, say, buying a phone is just from here to here. It's usually very short, particularly when you have the money. But you see real estate, from inquiry to closing, can take months. Sometimes can take a year, 1 full year, from inquiry to closing. So how do you handle real estate? How do you handle transactions when the sale process is very long? In fact, don't forget that from what I said here, it is from E to C. That is inquiry. So you must have done marketing the right way before you can even get to the point of inquiry. Yes or yes?
Yes, you are right.
Yes, sir.
So it means that you should or must have done a very good job first before the point of inquiry. So after all of breaking this down, from the point of inquiry, the question is up to you, right? And so you get on the chat or you get on the call. Now, one of the reasons I'm going to be taking this very carefully is because if you understand this, you understand how to relate with clients and it will help you to close. Now, from the point of inquiry, now you must be careful. It is not every time you allow the chats. There are certain times you must insist on the call. If not on the chat, the transaction ends right here. So the person begins to make inquiries, right? From inquiry, the person finds out about the product knowledge, right? And as a matter of fact, let me quickly add that how you do your marketing also determines how the sales process is going to be, how long the sales process is going to be. How good you do your marketing also determines how short the sales process is going to be. I've done this transaction that the I didn't get on a call once with a client. Let me summarize the story very quickly. How that transaction basically happened. The person just reached out on WhatsApp from my WhatsApp status and he says, "What is the payment plan for this property?" And I responded. The moment I responded, the person kept quiet for a while. And then I said, the person asked one more question, and then I responded. After I responded, they kept quiet for a while. After a few minutes, I just felt like, okay, maybe it's one of those guys that we just reach out and all. And then the next thing I sent him a message. Should I send the form? Then he responds, yes, please send the form. I sent the form to him, and within the next 30 minutes, he sent one form. He has filled it. While I was going through that form, I went back and I realized that he had sent another form. So in my mind, I thought that there was a mistake, right? And I asked him, is there a mistake? Did you correct something? He said, no, that it's for 2 clients. And I'm like, okay. And I look at it and they are 3 million naira each. I said, okay. The next thing I told him, the payments, the account details are on the last page of the document. And at that point, he said, okay, no problem, I will send the money. I woke up the next morning, alert has dropped. Payment for the 2 clients, 3 million each. That is the shortest sales process I've had. But trust me, okay, let me hear 1 or 2 persons. What do you think would have, what can you, he has never bought any land from me before. That was the first time. What do you think would have made that kind of transaction easy and smooth? What do you think? Stacey, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay, sir. I think it's because you have done a good job in your marketing. So, and he's already convinced. I don't know. Yes, I think you have done a good marketing already for him to request for the form and then make payments without asking any other questions. I think your
All
marketing
right.
process, yeah.
All right, great. Any other person with a different thought?
In addition to what you just said, I think he has watched you over the weeks, months, as the case may be, and he has consistently seen your marketing or you doing your marketing very well. And so there was no need for him to even ask for further inquiries, being that he has always been on your space. So he has trusted your brand, trusted you, and perhaps he must have even done a background checkup on you and even asked some questions about you as well. So immediately he hit your DM, it was just for him to get the form and make the payment.
Great. Thank you. Good answers. So I wouldn't have time to begin to go into all of the details of that, right? But so that I can finish up with this conversation, now you have basic inquiry from the clients and you have product knowledge. The client is making inquiries about the product, how much is the payment plan, and that. And from that point, you decide to take it a step further. And if you give him the right, if the product makes sense and it fits the purpose for which the client is reaching out to you, then you're good to go at this very point, and you can step further. But if it doesn't make sense and you don't answer the right questions and you don't, oh God, I wish, but it's fine. If you don't answer the right questions the right way, then you lose the client at this point. And for most of the time, the client will get back to you from here. That's the very end. And but if you pass the conversation or the test of conversing with the client the right way, at this point of product knowledge, the client decides to step further. And from here, you begin to say, or there are 2 ways. If a client comes specifically for a particular product, then you have a conversation based on product knowledge. If the client doesn't come based on the particular product, then the first conversation you're going to be having is the conversation of investment, right? And it is from that conversation of investment, and that is where, depending on how you are selling, that will determine whether this is going to even scale through or not. And that's why I told them in the class that we had that you must learn to sell. Let's leave that. So what you do here is critical and relates to whether the person doesn't come for a particular product or not. So at this point, you have general investment conversation, which now reduces or narrows the conversation down to a specific product. And assuming you do a very good job here, then you go to the next thing. If you don't do a good job here, that is the end. And if you do a good job, we go to the point of the client making investigation. Right? Investigation. And this point of investigation, you also have to be very careful and knowledgeable. Because first, have you done your background checks? Because at the point of investigation, the client most likely will have to ask you certain questions. What is the title on the land? And for some of you, you begin to say stuff like the title on the land is survey plan, or is your case. Especially for a client that knows what he's doing. So the answers you give first to the client at the point of investigation is very critical. Now, the matter gets more serious when the client decides to involve a lawyer. Because I realized that in doing transactions in several millions, some clients still trust me. This month I've done 2-3 transactions that the client didn't come for inspection and they didn't send a lawyer. Nothing of such was involved, right? However, I realized that there's a level in transactions that you get to. But if you stick to say, there are certain times that in doing certain real estate transactions, say within a particular range, you really have clients disturb you so much with legalities and all of that, right? But it's a point that it gets to and you don't have an option, you just have to attend to those legalities, right? So when a lawyer is not involved, then it makes the matter more serious. And you have to be, and that is why I have said to people who I refer to that they are legally smart. You have to be legally smart to respond to a lawyer who knows what he's doing. If you are not legally smart, first of all, the lawyer begins to play the superiority game on you, and we just want to. So the lawyer is not even interested in the client moving forward. The lawyer can just mess up the whole thing, right? So you also have to be legally smart for you to understand how to tackle lawyers and some of their. And I don't know if I should say this here, but respectfully to some of my colleagues, some of them are not property lawyers. Some are just lawyers who possibly register businesses. Some are commercial lawyers. Some are criminal lawyers. So if you are not good at what you are doing, I told them there's a caveat I usually tell clients when they are bringing in another lawyer for investigation. And that caveat is very important because a lawyer that doesn't know what he's doing can mess up a very good transaction. That also is part of the sales process of real estate. Right, so investigation comes in. Now, if investigation does it, if you do well at the stage of investigation, then the client decides to send somebody for inspection. Good for you if the client himself comes for the investigation. The matter is largely simpler. But if the client sends somebody else for inspection, it is actually more serious. It gets more serious at that point. Because by the time you send this guy let's start with the client himself coming for inspection. If the client himself comes for inspection and you did not do a good job on the marketing, then a problem comes. Because it's at that point the client comes to see that the location is not what you are saying. The location is actually not 2 minutes to the airport, it is 25 minutes to the airport. The moment the client sees that, you are losing the client. It is from that video or from physical inspection that the client realized that 70% of the things that you said over the phone were not correct. At that point, that is the end. For whatever reason, if I take 10 clients for inspection, based on statistics, at least 8 of them go for it. And there's a reason for that. So you have to be a person of integrity for your marketing to move to closing. So you mustn't market a lie. You should not market a lie. Because when you market a lie, inspection, which is in the process, the sales process of real estate, will or may catch up with you. Let me not say will. Let me say may catch up with you. Or most likely will catch up with you. Now, assuming you would have generally done a good job with the marketing, a guy can still come on inspection and realize that the road is not good to that place. Now, if you don't have the right answers here again, you mess it up. Now, assuming the guy sent his brother and not he himself, now you are with a complete stranger who possibly doesn't understand real estate. At that point, if the guy has little sense, the guy begins to say something like, "It is far. It is in the bush." What do you do at that point? Right? So you just have to prepare with the right answer for this guy. And there's also a point you have to negotiate. Now, if we move away from inspection and everything goes well at this point you now talk about subscription form or application form, assuming it's a company that you're selling for. Now, if you bring in subscription form or application form, and there's a clause in the subscription form that doesn't make sense, then at that point, you also end the transaction. So you should also prepare your mind for the subscription form. And assuming you pass the test of subscription form, you move further. If you don't pass the test of subscription form, that's the end. Now, when you cross subscription form, we'll now start looking at the process of the transaction. How smooth is it going to be? Maybe the client asks a question like, how will I get my documents? What's the payment plan like? What's my initial deposit like? If there's an issue, that becomes a problem. If there's no issue, then you are good to go. Right? Because I realized that is why in fact, it is part of the reason you are benefits of having this kind of conversation is that from day one, you begin to ask the right question. That's why it's not every company we sell for. Because some companies you would have done a good job, by the time you come here, the company begins to bring in very silly policies that can just kill the transaction. So you must have an idea of how sensible this company is before you waste your time doing all of this and getting to this point. So the process of the transaction itself can also be. In fact, I've seen a company very silly. I've seen a company that client is supposed to pay about 30 million, and the client eventually has, in quotes, supposed to be outright, which is supposed to be paid once. But because the client doesn't have initial deposits, because the client has a bank limit of 10 million, which is supposed to now be made across 3 days, you see a company will say, no, that must be paid once. At that point, so if you move away from this flexible way with the structure of this, then you are also now faced with the real decision. The real decision of, should I use this 5 million to buy a car, or should I use this 5 million to buy this land? Should I use this 5 million to buy this land, or should I use this 5 million to, let me just be seeing it in my account? Because there are 1,001 persons who prefer to be seeing that 5 million inside their account. than to put it inside any place, any real estate investment. For the guy who has not done real estate before, he begins to think, is this risk worth taking? At that point, the person begins to see different discouraging advice. And that's why there's still very long. At this point, the one that very respectfully, now, I've seen this a lot of times. Somebody wants to buy a car. It doesn't take him weeks or months to decide. He just buys it and shows his village people and shows his brothers and shows the siblings. But when he wants to buy a land, to show you how the thought process is, you will decide to call his brother at this point and ask his brother whether I should buy the land or not. Do you know this place? Do you know that place? And the brother that has not bought land before, what do you expect him to say? The brother that is already feeling jealous of your achievement, what do you expect him to say at this point? And that is why I've always said it that whenever any client comes out to you and say they want to buy land, there is like a 10% chance reasons why he wants to buy, and there's a 90% chance aspirations why he or she doesn't want to buy. So it is your responsibility to be reducing this 90% don't buy to increasing the buy. Because if you are doing a good job all through this process, this 90% is reducing to 80, to 70, to 60. And there's something I teach. I always like to say Kairos moments. Kairos moments have a way of taking your don't buy side of the equation from 80 to 50, from 50 to 10. And putting that to the side, and the client is going to make a very fast decision. Right? So at this point, you need prayer and a lot of, which is the final job, follow up. Are we together? Are you still with me? Am I making sense? Am I making sense? I'm making too much sense.
Too much
Too
sense,
much
sir.
sense.
You are making sense.
Somebody said I'm making sense. If I
Makes
somebody
sense,
needs
sir.
my pen,
You are making too much sense, sir.
right? Thank you. So this is where follow-up comes. And if you have ever listened to any conversation about follow-up, you will know that this is where you lose a lot of clients. You would have done a very good job from here to here. One of the reasons that follow-up is critical is because follow-up helps two stages that are most critical. All these stages are critical because without this, you won't get here, right? Without inquiry, you won't get to follow-up. Without this, you won't get to this, right? And in fact, follow-up actually applies through all of the processes because you can get to the point of product knowledge and the client goes to you or keeps quiet. So you have to follow up. This morning, I followed up almost, I can't count now. If I check my book, I'll be able to. But I followed up a lot of lessons this morning. And those that have forgotten, those that forgotten that did not reply me, all of them begin to come back to, oh, now I scheduled a call with someone, I made a call with one today, and all of that. So follow-up process happens here, follow-up happens here. So one of the things, the benefit of follow-up is to put them to the next step. One of the benefits of follow-up is to keep pushing them to the next step. Keep pushing them to the next step. So by the time they go to this final step, they are bringing note for time up. All right. Did you don't come? I'm teaching too much. Okay. Okay, so this is round up.
Sir,
Me.
hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Before rounding up, can you briefly summarize the whole process so at least we can still have it in our head?
Say that again.
Can you please summarize the whole process? Maybe in just 2 to 10 seconds, sir. Help us summarize it, sir. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
you came in late.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, you can get the replay. The replay will be on the channel, right? You can get the replay.
Okay.
because this is not something I can summarize.
Okay. All right.
All
Thank you,
right.
sir.
Please, sir,
All right.
I have a question, sir.
All right, Monday, go on.
Thank you very much, sir. I want to ask a question about following up. Some prospects, when you have their contact, they will give you number, you send them a message, maybe immediately after you parted with them. Maybe like there were some contact I had met last week. I sent them messages acknowledging that we met and we had a conversation at so place. Some of them read, they didn't answer me. Now, I want to know how often is it good to send a reminder or follow up so that it will not look as if you are desperately bothering them? That is number one question that I want to ask. Then another thing you said during the course of your training that actually raised a point in my mind about closing a deal. There was a client that asked me about a particular site. There is a real estate company I'm promoting. So I posted the picture on my status, and the lady now reached out to me and asked me about the real estate that I mean the particular estate that are there people living there? I say yes, houses are already at lintel level. That I'm going to forward her video. So when I forwarded the video that I forward did not carry houses at the lintel level, but there were houses, but not at the lintel level. So that thing now made the lady to now say, okay, these houses are not at lintel level, but you say this. I say sorry, there are few that are at lintel level, but it's not all. So from there, I noticed that the lady was losing that trust and confidence in me already. So along the line, she said she wanted something with CFO. I was looking around. At the end of the day, when I chatted her about 3 or 4 days later, she said she has gotten something else from another source. So it shows that what you said today really is an eye opener to me, which I need to really work on. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate. I got value from the training, sir.
Great.
Okay.
So you
Hello.
okay,
Please,
Chidinma,
just
go on.
yes. Just a question. Now, there was a time someone reached out to me that she had the land to sell. She told me a particular price that should be 7 million or so. So I posted it. One real estate investor, the guy does all this. If you build a house, he sell. He just buys an empty plot, build a house and sell. So when I posted that particular land, he said he needed to inspect. I now called the contact, the person that told me about the land, only for her to now change the price. That no, it's no longer 7 million, it's either 25 million or so. Like the gap was so much, and I'm like, but you told me 7 million, and I asked you several, even before I told this person, I confirmed to the person that the place was still open for sale. She confirmed that it was 7 million. So many things. So, and this a customer that I didn't really want to lose him, but that incident really, it made it look as if I didn't make enough enquiries. So now the question is, if one loses a customer due to this type of occurrence, how can the person build the trust again and then try to bring the person back? Because this is a guy that I know that in a year he builds up to like 20 houses and he sells. He gets, so it's not someone that I just want to overlook like that. He gets. So that's my
Mm.
question.
So let me start by being very frank with us. And I will say something to what Monday said and to what you said. I need us to understand that as much as it takes you 5 minutes to decide, or not necessarily to decide that you want to become a realtor or a broker, as much as it is not a big deal, to decide whether you want to become a broker or not. However, the process to understanding real estate in such a way that you'll be doing fine with clients is long. You need knowledge. You need connections. You need contacts. Not necessarily contact. When I use the word contact, I'm referring to Chidima's questions. Because, like I mentioned, there's the marketing side before you even get to the inquiry side, before you get to the closing side. So this process from the beginning to the end of every closed transaction requires knowledge. It's not something you want to be doing trial by error. That's the way they say it, right? It's not something you want to be doing a guesswork on. Every client has a move, and there's a way you move it. Let me give us an example based on what Monday said. You get a client's contacts, and he reaches out to you, or you reach out to the client, and by the time you have reached out to the client is no longer responding to you. One of the issues, or one of the reasons why that is so, is because it is not a quality lead. The client that you send that message and kept you quiet is not a quality lead. Because for a lead to closing, there should be some level of quality attached to it, and that will determine what you are going to be having during the course of this process. That is why everything is something you do based on knowledge. It's not, that's why you can do real estate 3 years and not do it right. So it is largely about what you know and how you attend to it. So what am I trying to say? Mr. Monday, if you want to get quality leads, there's a way to get it. It's not just by reaching out to people and having contacts. I taught them, EIE was part of our training, and I gave a serious difference between future buyers and present buyers. EIE, are you here? Are you still here?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
So I explained all of that. So the contact that you are getting right now, Mr. Monday, there's a category, and you need to place them there. So the ones that you are getting those contacts, you can be placing them in the wrong way, and you use desperation for present transaction to lose them. And you miss both the present and you miss the future. So again, this is about strategy. This is about, dear clients, the one I just said, for example, assuming you're going to watch this video, I just needed to use that to explain the point. All right? Thank you. I've had a series of incidents like that. I've had to not necessarily raise my voice at clients, but I've had to correct clients. I've had to correct leads. There are certain things that I don't take. And the only reason I don't take them is because I'm not desperate. There's a position where I come from. I'm coming from a position to do this thing, to do this business, right? And for Chidima, the summary of my answer to your question is dealing with the right people and having the right contact. With having the right contact, that's why I said this business is not just about, it's also not just about knowledge. It's also about, there's a lot of things to it, right? So that's that for that. Our paid trainings are available every month. You can join any of the cohorts. Payments are already coming in for the September cohort, and you can join any of the cohorts from wherever you are. We have designed it in such a way that it is very flexible. Payment plans are available. In fact, if you refer somebody, you get a commission, and a lot of benefits to it. You get 1 month access to portfolio. You get 3 months mentorship or 1 year mentorship, depending on what you decide to go for. You get a lot of other offers, accountability sessions. Now, all of these problems that you're having individually, it is during our weekly accountability sessions that we'll be addressing them, because you have a peculiar need. You have a peculiar problem that you are dealing with. You have a client that is stressing you. So it is in those accountability sessions that we go into very serious practicals and perspective, into context, where we now begin to address, if the client is at this stage, we talk about what to do. If the client is at this stage, we talk about what to do. right? So these are a lot of benefits that you get if you join our paid sessions, which happens every month. September batch payments are already coming for the September batch. October batch is available. November batch is available. And 2025 batch, by God's grace, will also be available. It all depends on when you are ready to get serious. It all depends on when you are ready to get serious and get started as you would want. But one thing I said it in the video I said a moment ago, I did yesterday, which will somewhere be for those who are listening, who are buying the course rather. I said that if in 6 months you ruthlessly execute what we are teaching during the 7 days the master class and you don't get results, I will apologize to you publicly and refund you your money if you don't get results after you ruthlessly execute everything that I've been taught. And it's that serious, and I'm committed to that, and I'm saying it again and again and again here. Right. So I encourage you, if you can enroll for it, do enroll for it. And then it's not just about enrolling for the course. We're building a community. And in that community, we're hoping that that community will continue forever, where we have closed sessions amongst ourselves. We discuss. I share with you how I've done this week, how I was able to close clients this month and all of that, this week and all of that. Since this month, there's no, I think literally I have either I close transactions every week and not transactions in 500,000 or in Abuja, right? So transactions that we're doing in millions every week, right? And any week I don't close a particular transaction, it enters the next week and covers for the 2 weeks, right? So we're dealing with practical stuff. We're dealing with realities. We're dealing with stuff. We're having conversations about stuff that we know and we are practicalizing every day. And we are even growing on, because the more we are growing, the more all of this is getting better, right? And if I keep growing and everybody in the group is growing, it means that knowledge will be getting better and things will get easier, right? So that's a summary of what we're looking at today. And thank you. The essence of this conversation that we have today is to open your eyes so that you understand that there are certain places you should not be doing certain things. When you understand this and you begin to pay attention to the individual stages of every real estate transaction, then at that point you'll be liberated. At that point, you would close better. At that point, you would close faster. And that's the entire essence of this conversation that we had today. Next week, we'll look at another important conversation. But of course, it is still free, and do invite your friends. Let them join as well and benefit from this amazing training that we're having. Again, this is brought to you by Fortreal, and my name is Raymond E. Joma. Enjoy the rest of your day.